What's up, guys? Just a short update I'm doing on what I'm working on in case someone's interested in building a Super Star Destroyer. This kit I got from SithPlanet.com. I can't remember the name of the guy. Super nice guy. He sells these kits and he ships immediately, and it's a reasonable price. I mean, it's pretty expensive, but I always wanted to build one of these. So I bought the kit, and it's not really meant for lighting. So there's a lot of work to be done to get lighting to where you need to get lighting to. Just probably by the makeup of the ship and the way that it had to be designed. I started with the easiest part, which was the engines. The ship is made up of 3 main sections, and then there's some side pieces that go on, and then there's a whole bunch of little buildings that go on the top section, and that's pretty much it. I could probably build this thing in a couple of hours if I wanted to without lighting it, but there's no point in, especially with this ship, because this ship is all lights, and it's really hard to see on the movie what exactly it looks like. So I was kind of curious. I did all the research and went and did screenshots and everything else and watched the movie footage, and it's very it's lit up like crazy. So in some scenes there's blue lights, and it looks like there's some white lights towards the end of the ship on the sides, but I'm going to do all blue, and the engines are a menacing red. So I bought some, I'll show you what the lights look like on the engines. I ended up buying some flat head straw hat LEDs from LighthouseLEDs.com, and they work great. They're perfect sized for all of these engines. There's 11 engines, and they're of course not hollowed out, so I had to drill through, and also there's a piece here that you have to kind of snake the wire down, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. I'll show you what they look like turned on. They look really cool, and the straw hat LED is a wider angle of a light, so it gets a really interesting effect when you turn the lights on. I like the way they look, and I already put a lot of fiber optic in this particular piece, which is the bottom engine section of the rear of the ship. I'm doing it piece by piece, so I can put all of the fiber in each piece and then kind of put it together all at once. So it's been interesting, to say the least, because the ship is molded. It's just flat on the bottom. I had to channel out. Well, the first thing I had to do was the side panels here, the supports for the walls, they're actually metal. So he put a piece of metal in the resin when it was curing, which was pretty smart idea. The problem is, if you want to light the sides, you can't drill through that metal, at least not with the bits I have. Maybe a bigger hole, but not a 0.5 millimeter hole for each fiber optic. There's just no way my bits would do it. So I tried drilling through the metal with a whole bunch of holes, thinking I can fit the side piece on and then move the, kind of snake the fiber through those holes, but that wasn't working out. So I just ended up cutting off the metal supports, and I'll replace them with wood or something, but I had to cut those off. I used a Dremel cutting wheel, and it was tricky because the metal is probably 1/8 of an inch thick, and I had to cut it off without ruining the model, which, you know, was not easy, and I did take a couple of nicks out of it, which I can fix. There are some, just from holding the piece and cutting the metal, There's a couple of little nicks out of the resin that I'm gonna have to fix later on, but that's okay. I can get by that. I expected some collateral damage in that experiment. I did get some. So the top piece is all one piece, and then there's a side. This is actually the front bottom, and it's very prominently lit in this triangular area, which I had put a whole bunch of fibers in. So this fits onto the engine piece, and I'll show you that lit up too. I don't even know if I'm going to have enough LEDs. I may have to. I have a lot of 5mm blue LEDs, but I think I'm going to need more. The instructions are good with the kit. The guy labels all of the buildings by letter. So the groups of buildings are B, C, D, E, and he puts them in bags and he tells you where to put them. Unfortunately, what happened, exactly what happened to me on the blockade runner build, the instructions for the engine mounts weren't correct. But this time I looked it up and I was, did my research and I got the engines right. Now they have a mounting suggestion in the instructions that has this smaller. There's a smaller group of engines that are thinner, and there's the thicker group, and he had them arranged differently, and I didn't know if that was right or not. So I looked on the filming model pictures, and it was not correct. So I matched the filming model pictures, and also I checked on the movies, Empire Strikes Back, for reference, maybe in Return of the Jedi too, just to make sure that the engines were right, and they are right. So now that everything else is suspect, so now I have to check the buildings and make sure they're all where they should be and oriented right, because I could put one on backwards by accident and I wouldn't know, and I can't have that. So that's my Star Destroyer. This is more of a, I guess you can call it a prototype. I'm just building this for the hell of it, and seeing how it goes. And this isn't for like a client build or anything. If I was going to build this for somebody, I don't think I would. It's too much BS, and a lot can go wrong. So good thing I tested it out first on my own time, because this is something that's it's so much fiber optic in it that I'm just taking my time on it and doing it piece by piece. And I already had to buy another roll of fiber because I'm using a lot of it. So I'll show you some pictures, some video of it lit up, and you can see what's going on. So here's the engines all lit up. And you can see all the blue fiber that I put in there. But I have not trimmed up yet. These engines were arranged differently in the instructions. These are all the wider engines. This is the way it should be. And then there's a wide, a thinner on the inside, a wide, and then a wide in the middle of these. And each one has a 5mm LED for the engines, and then all this other fiber. There's going to be a lot of fiber in this thing. I'm hoping I can fit it inside, but I'll figure it out. So that's the engine piece. They do give you a really cool little mini Imperial Star Destroyer to go with the Super Star Destroyer. And there's a bridge section that goes on here. It gives you that, and you can mount this. Problem is it's solid. So if this thing is all lit up, then this is not really going to look right if it's all dark. So I tried to copy this in clear resin, thinking I can just light it somehow and then paint over where I don't want the light, something kind of subtle. If I put a big LED in here, it might light up the whole ship, but I haven't been able to successfully copy this because it's real tricky, and it's got some recessed areas that my mold is not dealing with very well. I might try again. I'll show you the other section. Here's the bottom section. Again, I haven't trimmed any of those LEDs yet. I did paint this a primer and an intermediate blue, which is what is suggested by the kit maker, and it actually is very close to what the ship looks like. So I went through, I think I bought 3 different kinds of intermediate blue, and I ended up with Model Master. So I liked the way this one looked. I used a Vallejo, and there was another one that I still might use for accent coloring and stuff. I might use those other 2. It's strange how many different variations there are of intermediate blue, but this is the one that I actually used. And I had to buy more of it because I decided on that's the color of the ship, and this thing's pretty big, so one bottle is not going to cut it, so I had to buy more. So that's what I'm using for the exterior color, and then I'm going to shade some areas with other versions of intermediate blue. So that's it for the Super Star Destroyer. It's coming along. Here's some other stuff that's going on. I'm building a Enterprise refit with the full-on iridescent paint and a lighting board that I got, which is going to go like nuts. It's going to have like all kinds of demo modes and impulse mode and warp mode, and it's been taking me, this ship takes months to do. There's no quick way to do it, so this is the secondary hull, which, oh my god, I don't even know how many hours it takes to do this. I think I spent 3 hours last night just on some decals on the secondary hull. And this has some landing lights for the shuttle bay. Shuttle bay is all detailed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see that inside. It's a lot of work, and then you end up, you can't really even see too much in there. It goes way back, and there's turbo lifts in there that are lit up, and fiber optics in there, and all kinds of stuff. I still have to do some touch-up work around the outside. As you can see, there's some stuff that got a little messed up on the floor. There's just no way to prevent that sort of thing, because you're doing a ton of work on this thing after it's already put together, and you're bound to screw up some work that you already did. So between the iridescent paint, which you're handling the model repeatedly over the course of weeks, putting masks on and everything else, so the odds of you not screwing something up are pretty good. Or sorry, the odds of you screwing something up are pretty good. I've managed to avoid any major damage to this in the course of the build. And you can see that it depends how you catch the light on this, whether it picks up the iridescent or not. Again, there's still touch-up work to do. It just takes forever because you're painting, or you're masking, or you're fixing stuff, or so yeah, it looks pretty good so far. I have to finish all of the decal work on this. Then I have to put the deflector dish on, and then I can put the primary hull on, and that's going to be a nerve-wracking experience. And I also built this for a this is a Bandai speeder bike with Scout Trooper, which is is done, but it's not weathered. I just finished painting it and sealing it, and now I have to do the weathering on it because it looks brand new. That's a nice little kit. It's really accurate, and the little, not little, but this guy's posable. You can take them off. You can have them standing next to the speeder or whatever, and hopefully I can get this done in time. It's going to be auctioned off. Somebody wants it. If not, I'll give it to some little kid. But yeah, it's a pretty nice little kit. It was fun to do. I always like this this thing. So that's what's going on. I'll do another update for the Star Destroyer when I get it together.